You're listening to the Travis Makes Money podcast presented by GoHighLevel.com. For a free 30-day trial of the best all-in-one digital marketing software tool on the planet, just go to GoHighLevel.com/Travis. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Travis Makes Money podcast, where it's our mission to help you make more money. Today, we're going to be talking about disrupting generational poverty with my new friend, Jasper Smith. Jasper has been involved in the financial services arena for over 16 years now. He's the chief visionary behind a financial education company called the Build Wealth Movement, and he works tirelessly to help people disrupt generational poverty for their families and community. I love this topic. Can't wait to jump into this with Jasper. But before we get into all that, first of all, if you're tuning in, you wonder how I build the relationships with the amazing people I have on this show or on my other podcast, Travis Makes Friends. It's been through the podcast. The podcast is the Trojan horse of connecting with anybody you want. It can get you past the gatekeeper better than anything else in my experience. So it can also help you build an audience, grow a personal brand, sharpen expertise, pay you sponsorship money to do all of those things. So if you're already running a successful 7, 8, or 9-figure business and you're curious about what a podcast could do for you in your business and your life, I'm taking on a couple one-on-one coaching clients. So head over to travischappell.com/coaching. There's a quick application right there. We'll see if we might be a good fit to work together. That's travischappell.com/coaching. Now, without further ado, Jasper Smith, what's up, dude? Welcome to the show.
Hey, man, pleasure to be here. So juiced about this conversation. Like this is gonna be a good one.
Yeah, man, I love the idea of disrupting generational poverty because the wild statistic to me that I've come across recently, bro, is that like 70 to 80%, it's a large number. I'm going to butcher the actual number, but it's the vast majority, 70 to 80%. It could even be closer to 90% of millionaires are first generation millionaires, that like they're people who've gone out and built their wealth for themselves. That it's easy to fall into the misconception or the trap that like everybody else that has money, well, they just got money from their parents type of a thing. And it's like, actually, statistically, that is completely inaccurate. There's more millionaires being made every day than there's ever been. Even in a bad economy, and most millionaires are first generation millionaires, which tells us that like, you know, it's actually, there is much more generational poverty than there is generational wealth. So I love the idea of disrupting that, man. So tell me how you got started doing that.
Yeah, it was. I was working on the project through a contract I had outside of my day job as a financial planner, and we're going through this presentation deck, and they're talking about the community and poverty, and in the deck it said, "How do we interrupt generational poverty?" And I was like, I've lived in the Bay now for close to 20 years. And so just being around like tech in general, I was like, man, it could pop a little more if it was like disrupt. Like we gotta shake up the world or these communities if we want to see this stuff change.
Yeah.
And so that's initially where the idea came from. And then as a practitioner, I'm a financial planner, advisor, and so I was like, I talk to people about money all day long, but it's some of this generational stuff that I can't bust through, right? That was the kind of aha moment for me. It was like, this is bigger than this one person that I'm speaking with as a client potentially.
Yeah.
It is you, your family, and then your extended family and your network. And if you look at, wealthy neighborhoods in this country, we do zip code searches.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very particular, right? Certain zip codes, there's no grocery store, no bank, no mall. Like there's certain things you're not going to find in certain zip codes, where in another zip code, which could be literally across the street,
Right. Right.
they have everything. And so I was like, I wonder if people were courageous enough to really have that real transparent conversation with their family, friends. Could that could that move the needle?
Yeah.
And being a practitioner, I never like to lead with products, but this was a concept that said, okay, this has nothing to do with the product. It's just it's how you think and feel about money, which
Yes.
may have you in your situation. I know when we first connected, you were talking about how people like you don't have to cut out all the fun stuff in your life to save and invest and live a fruitful life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there needs to be a game plan. And then
Yes.
that's where I said, okay, you don't have a plan. You're just out here winging it. You working, you have nothing to show for your hard work. Can we have a conversation about planning?
Yeah.
And your plan has to be unique to you. Like
100%,
if
dude.
I,
Yeah. The piece that you said there at the beginning, I think is the most important piece, which is the thing that you're dealing with when you're dealing with people's money. You're not just dealing with money, you're dealing with generational beliefs. you're dealing
Yes.
with generational mindsets. You're if it's kind of that whole like bad credit is hereditary type thing. If you never get taught about money,
Yeah.
you never get taught about credit, you never get taught about banking, you
Yeah.
never get taught about interest rates, then you just don't ever learn it. Unfortunately, our
Yeah.
education system is
Yes.
totally backwards in this. It
Yeah.
still it boggles my mind to this day that there's just zero financial education in schools. And then we have a segment of the population who is probably, in my opinion, probably the most underpaid segment, which is teachers,
Yep.
who a lot of them are broke. And then they're teaching the kids their subject of whatever business math or some version of mathematics that involves like balancing a checkbook or some shit, which we don't even do anymore. It's just like how is this the best we have to offer in the most like wealthy nation in the world? Like this doesn't make any sense. So it's unfortunate, but we have to like come out of high school and college and start learning more things about how to
Oh,
actually be an adult and things that are actually really matter in life, like managing finances, which is a boring topic that you don't want to learn about and should have been taught when you were in eighth grade, but it wasn't,
man, so I've done a lot of youth like volunteer work, and I have never lost the money in terms of challenging a kid to fill out a check. They're like,
Mm.
"What the hell's a check?" Like, and then the one kid, I mean, they were high schoolers, and he was like, "I've heard of it, but like I have no clue." And
I've heard of
I was like,
it
"I'll
like
give
it's
you
a
20." Yeah,
like if
like
it's a mythological monster or something. Like I've heard of those
yeah, I was like, "I'll
legend
give."
tells of a
Yep.
time. Yeah.
And I happened to have like that day, I was like, I'll give somebody $100 if they can just fill this out correctly. And every little kid was like, "Oh man, let's go." And I was like, "Wrong, wrong, wrong. What goes on this line?" I was like, "Dude, you got to spell out how much." And I've never lost the money. But to your point, Travis, that is the issue, right?
Yeah.
We're technology just moves, and some people they stay on point, they advance and grow with the technology, and then you have certain communities that just are never exposed to it, or they're just too afraid because of the generational trauma. Well,
Right.
this is not what we do, right? And I've heard that it burns me up, man. They're like, well, my family doesn't do that. I was like, and that's why your family's broke.
Right.
Like, well, I don't believe in life insurance. Great, it's the easiest way to build a legacy. I could give you a legacy with like a cheap term policy, and you don't have to be the healthiest person,
Yep.
right? Investments, it takes time, but will you start today? Like everybody wants to invest. I'm like, are you ready for that?
Right. The
Like,
problem is they don't want to invest, bro. They want to get rich quick. And
yeah,
they
I
think
do
that
too.
investing
I
is
do
the
too.
path to that.
Yeah, I do. I want to get rich quick too, but I don't want to go to jail because everything I thought about that would get me, I'm going to jail. Like I'm not built that way. And there are people,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that will run these schemes and scams and then go to jail or what have you. I can't do that. I think
Yeah.
there's too many legitimate ways for you to earn a living.
Yes.
When people, I have a lot of clients, believe it or not, that they make great money, like by I'll say Bay Area standards. Making six figures easy, but still kind of living check to check. And
Still
there's
broke.
stats you can read about. And I have a client. She was making like 280 a year, single, no kids, no house, struggling. And I was like,
Ooh.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, didn't want to have the budget conversation. I said, well, let's talk about money management. And she said, okay, that's the fact that I said money management. She was like, okay, I'm willing to talk. I was like, so words and how you promote these concepts does matter, right? And
Yeah.
so in talking with her, it was just nobody had ever checked her lifestyle. She was first generation go to school, first generation with the advanced degree. Family is relying on her for everything,
Hmm.
financials, mental, all the supports. And I said, but you spend money because that's your outlet because you're stressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I ain't a therapist, man, but that was a moment where I said, yo, it's less about these numbers and these products. It's like, yo, what's going on up here? And what's going on in terms of your emotions in relation to this money.
Yeah. It's tough,
And
man, when you're dealing with that type of generational stuff, because that's what happens. People who don't understand money, when a member of the family starts going out and making some money, in where it's like, okay, 280 a year is a good income.
agreed.
And when you come from a family where nobody's ever touched six figures, they're in their mind, like you're a multi-millionaire. You know what I mean? Like they don't understand that, like, okay, well, you live in the Bay Area and you rent a nice spot downtown. Well, that's like 7 G's a month. You know what I mean? Like that's gone out the door. You have a decent car that you drive. You pay for gas.
Yeah.
You know, like all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's like, well, that 280 turns into only like 5 to 10K a month in
Yeah.
margin, like really
Yeah.
fast. You know, but they
Yeah.
just expect like, oh well, my car broke. Can you buy me a new car? You're the rich one in the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we worked hard so that you could go to college and now you're not willing to do. And it's like, okay, I get all of that. But also, if your cup is constantly empty, you can't fill anybody else's.
Agreed.
You have to take care of yourself first so that you can
Yes.
help people in perpetuity ongoing. And
Yeah.
like if you're constantly just trying to help, I get the desire to, and that's a good desire, and you shouldn't squash that desire. But you also have to learn to say no, or I can't right now, or that's not how this
Yeah.
works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to be able to meet me halfway somehow, or else the
Yeah.
people in your life that you love and who love you are just going to drain everything that you make. And
Yeah.
it can ruin people financially, unfortunately.
So that is a lot of the work that we do, like as financial planners or advisors. Like we're unpacking some of that emotional baggage that is causing these financial ways of living. And
Yeah,
it's like, look, I'm not the therapist, but I understand that I've got to get inside your head before you move. And I
yeah,
gotta hope that nothing bad happens, and then you come calling. Like I to this day, if the market has a downturn and somebody loses a sizable amount of money in their investment account, they then want to call me. And I'm
of
like,
course.
you should have called me before you started doing your own trading because you're not a trader, first off. Like, I don't have that kind of time to watch the world. And
Right.
apparently you have a job and a family. Like, how are you doing your research? Like, no wonder you're losing. You're not
Yeah.
putting in enough time. So this whole I'm gonna become a day trader, miss me with that, man. You have so many easy ways, and I even have them on my platform. Just you can invest, just add money, let's get it risk appropriate, and let's go work on something else with your plan.
Mm,
The cash flow, I'll always come back to that because that's still a big issue for a lot of people is that I'm not earning enough. Well, I don't expect you to just cut out all the fun things in your life and become, a minimalist.
yeah,
But I need you to be aware of how you're spending.
absolutely.
And then you got to tell me what you're willing to do. So I can make more money, I can cut expenses, or I can do a combination of the two. That's everybody's three options. You got to
Correct.
choose. Cutting a little bit, I like it. Earning more, it's going to take time. What are you passionate about? What are your strengths? I didn't say get another job. I didn't say
Right.
become an entrepreneur. I said figure out. I mean, I always tell people figure out your strengths and what somebody will pay for. And last
Yep.
time I checked, they will pay for anything. I
Yep.
mean, if you look, if people are on platforms to look at people's feet and they get paid, I mean, that's where we are. Like you can't say I don't have a
Yeah.
skill. Just show an elbow.
Right.
Somebody's in the elbows. I mean, I mean, like people keep looking for these like crazy side hustles. I'm like, no, just think about what you like to do, what you're good at, and just know that somebody will pay for that. Like all
Yeah.
the virtual assistants, the upstarts of the world, all the hey, I just need like a little project done. Somebody will pay for that. There's a business owner who needs you for some skill set, whether it's marketing, whether it's HR, whether it's outreach, whether it's cleaning up their CRM database. Like I
Yeah.
had this is one of my jobs years ago, in between jobs, and one of my mentors, big in real estate. And I said, hey, man, you've been in the game 30 years. I know your information just bad. And he had this antiquated CRM. I mean, bad. So much. I just scrubbed his list and he paid me like $30 an hour. But I spent hours cleaning up. I sourced a few new deals. He gave me a bonus. I mean, I did it for like 2 months. But
Yeah.
it was like, you can't tell me in this country that you can't find work. I think it's you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's not the world. The world wants to pay you. Have you told the world you are accepting of
Yes.
opportunity?
The problem is people have their money out for their hand out for handouts instead of
Yes.
focusing on how they can
Yes.
provide value and get money in exchange for it. So like they take the path of like, well, I submitted 300 applications on Indeed yesterday while I was playing video games, and it's like, okay, but you and like 100,000 other people did that.
People.
So like, what's the thing that you're going to do that nobody else is doing? And what's the value that you're going to provide that actually makes a dent in this other person's time, income, relationships, status? Like, there's so many ways to solve problems. You just got to figure out a way to do it. I don't like what you said about like there's only three ways to do it. It's either cutting expenses, increasing income, or it's a combination of the two. And the problem is that like people think that it's a zero sum game where it's like, well, if I go down this path, then I have to follow this rigid code of like, now I can't buy Starbucks and now I can't take a vacation and now I can't do these things. Like, look, you can do all of those things. You just can't do it to the degree that you're doing it right now without having any sort of plan on where the money's going. It's just like, do that, sure. But also at the same time, if you just got disciplined about it and looked at how much money you're making and look at how much money you're spending, and then find the areas that you're okay with cutting, because that exists for all of us. Is sometimes like I did this recently, bro, did an audit of my personal finances a couple months ago. I was switching kind of careers in a little bit of a way because I was leaving the business that I was in for a long time. And I was just looking, I was like, okay, what would I be comfortable with just like letting go? And it, like go through monthly expenses and figure out like, oh, I can get rid of that and it's not going to hurt me too much. I get rid of that. That's not that big of a deal. I could probably stop doing that as much like that. I could limit that to like a couple times a week. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just created an extra couple $1,000 in cash flow by cutting some expenses. However, you don't stop there. You get disciplined with your finances first, find out where your money's going first. And then you can do like a simple app like Rocket Money, bro. Like Rocket Money sponsored the show for a little bit. They'll do these just like automatic withdrawals from your checking account. Like you can set up just like a savings goal for like whatever. I want to get a new car, or I want to take the family on vacation at the end of the year or something like that. And then put a goal in there. And then every Rocket Money, since it follows where all your money is going and how much income you have, it will just take a little bit of money here and there, $20 here, $30 here, $15 here, where you don't even realize that it's missing from your checking account, and it deposits it automatically in a savings account on Rocket Money. So it's not in your bank account anymore. You don't see it. It's like money that it's not even there anymore. And then if you do that and you're saving a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there, at the end of the year, you have $3,000 or $4,000. Like you can take the family on a good vacation for $3,000 or $4,000 at the end of the year. You just can't do it without ever looking at where the money's going and how long it's there for. You have to be disciplined and structured about it, and it will require some form of sacrifice. But to me, it's like choose your hard, bro. You know, like it's hard to be broke, and it's hard to be disciplined, you know, but which one are you going to choose? I would rather choose to be disciplined and have some abundance rather than just be broke all the time.
Yeah. One of the things that I ask people, and this is whether they work with an advisor or coach, what have you, I ask the question, are you happy with the results you've got thus far?
Hmm.
And I just pause. Whatever they say, great. If you want to keep going down the do-it-yourself route, you're going to get do-it-yourself results. It'll take you a little bit longer. If you have the ability to make an investment, I always say an investment is never cost. What's your fee when you're going to make an investment of? Well, why do you say that? Because you are expecting some return on paying me or some coach or paying for a program, because I have coaches and a team that I consult with, and they're worth every penny.
Yep.
Because I get what I need and then some for making said investment. And I still find people they're a little hesitant to make that investment. And then I just say, you cool getting the results that you've gotten? And this is a real story. Last week, I had this call, hadn't talked to this young lady in about a year or so. In debt, I gave her the bing, bang, boom. Here's how you get out of it. Good luck. So we talked last week. She's back in the same exact mess. And so on this call, I said, hey, look, we back here. It's only been a year and you messed up again. And she laughed. And I said, you see what happens when you stay away from me? You start thinking you know what you're doing and you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. What blows my mind, dude, is like the same people who balk at investing in these types of services or these types of coaches or these types of shortcuts to knowledge are the same people that are financing a new TV. It's like your TV is totally like you have a 65-inch 4K smart TV from 2.5 years ago.
Preach.
You're going to be in Costco and see like a new one that's, this one's 85 inches. It's a whole 20 inches bigger and it's only $1,500. Well, I don't have $1,500, but I can finance it and I can pay $50 a month. I can afford a $50 a month payment. And like they convince themselves to buy the dumbest shit in the world. And then you go, hey, I'm going to teach you how to be financially free and rich pitch and they're like, oh, I don't know, sounds kind of expensive and risky. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you just got the
Preach.
brand new iPad, a brand new iPhone, you're driving a brand new car, you got a new lease on an apartment that you can't afford. Like, you're eating out for all of your meals and you're talking about how I'm expensive. Like, this doesn't make any sense. This is
Trevor,
why you're broke and why
man,
you will continue to be broke.
man, look, man, you just reminded me of the story. These are real stories. I have nothing but stories from my years of experience, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this young man's. He showed me all his expenses. Can't make this up. He had a subscription to Tidal, Spotify Music, Apple Music, and I said, dude, can you pick? Last time I checked, they all offer music
The
on
same
demand,
exact
right?
service. Yeah.
And so I said, I said, who do you care about the most? He ended up just saying, well, I'll rock with Jay-Z, so I'll do Tidal. Whatever, dude. Like, you got three? And what's crazy is as I look through people's spending, and I think that it's this fear of judgment. I don't give a damn what you spend your money on. I just want to help you achieve the goal that you told me at the onset. So
Right.
unless you're full of shit, I need you to like rock with me and just understand that if we make some cuts, just know they're not permanent. So if you love that subscription and you can't live without it, show me some progress and then we can add it again. Like, I cut cable years ago because I don't watch that much TV. My wife needs, all the streaming services, but we don't pay for them. I had to find friends, and this is why Netflix had to cut down
Yeah.
because I'm that family. I'm a financial planner, and I've never paid for Netflix
Yeah. Yeah.
ever. I mean, so it's like, what are you willing to do? I don't want to pay full price for anything because last time I checked, wealthy people have all the money and they negotiate every single thing,
Yeah.
everything. Poor people, they just pay, don't ask any questions, and they complain.
Yep.
If I'm complaining, that means I shouldn't. I probably don't need that at this moment. And
Right.
so it's how do I capture this moment of, okay, you want to do better, but will you?
Yep.
Will you do what it takes? It's not always fun. It's not easy. But if we can laugh at some of this silly shit you're doing, I guarantee you, and I can't use guarantee when I talk about investments, but like I
Sure.
can guarantee if we have a strategy and you show up, I will show up along with you. And I would guarantee you will be in a different place within, and I always say 3 to 6 months, because I know life is going to happen. I stopped giving it, oh, I got it in a month. You're going to get lucky in a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get
I
lucky.
remember the first time I really like learned this, bro. I was like, I don't know, had to be elementary school, and my parents owned a few rentals in town, and we went to this one person's house because they were about to evict the tenant. They hadn't paid rent in 4 months, 5 months,
Mm-hmm.
and they were about to go through eviction. And we walked into the living room, and there was a brand new plasma screen TV sitting in the living room. And this was at a time too when TVs weren't $600 for the newest one. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking thousands of
Yes.
dollars to get a
Yes.
55-inch plasma
Yep.
sitting in your living room like that. And I just remember the dissonance that I felt at that time as like a 9-year-old to be like, shouldn't you prioritize the place that you live over like
It's
having this
not.
TV in here? Like, this TV is bigger than your living room. What are you doing? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And it can be easy for like me and you to sit here and like laugh about it. And it could be easy for somebody listening to be like, oh, that's so dumb. No wonder they're broke. But the question becomes like, what's your plasma screen TV?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing that
Yeah.
is equivalent to that? Because we all have our spending vices.
Of
It's
course.
just some people don't prioritize it on TVs. Some people might prioritize it on drinking, going to
Yes.
the club. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Some people might prioritize it in other places. Like, everybody's got the thing that they're probably
Yeah.
just pissing away money on, that they're just not even realizing that they're doing that. So the question
Yeah.
becomes like, if you're listening right now and you have too much month at the end of your money, what's the thing
I
that
love it.
you are like, go through your expenses and do a full audit and just be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I spent $3,000 on eating out last month. I probably could get away with the peanut butter and jelly a couple times a week and
Yeah.
save $1,500 like that. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't that important to me. It's just I did it because I didn't have any food in the fridge. So maybe I should just Instacart some food. And like, yeah, I might pay a little bit extra
Yeah.
to have it Instacarted, but I don't have time to go grocery shopping. But I know that $20 Instacart fee is going to save me $1,500, and eating out this month might be worth cutting a little bit there.
Yeah. You know what I found too, Trav, when we're looking at spending, and this is old school because I realize with technology, with the apps, they're great for a certain segment of people. Some people, it still doesn't click that they need to make the changes because they don't review the app.
Yeah.
But I have the most success. I call it the highlighter challenge, and it's
Okay.
old school. I ask people to print out the previous 3 months of statements. So
Mm.
count 3 months back, print them out, and you get a highlighter or a marker. And I said, start at 3 months back and highlight everything that was not a necessity to live.
Mm.
And I pause and say, and as soon as you start, you're gonna giggle within 2 minutes. And it's 100%. It's you that spent that $300 on a Thursday night buying drinks for your friends or buying like it's always some stuff you're like you do that consistently,
Yeah.
which is why you can't pay off this debt. Like you, to your point, you have the money, you're earning enough. It's just not going to the right place.
Right.
And that highlighter challenge, I mean, I don't care what they say they do. I'll find minimum $100 within the first 5 minutes of that activity, or
Yeah.
I'll say even less time.
Yeah.
But it gets people to see that that's you. That wasn't some system. You swipe that card. Most people
Right.
don't use cash nowadays. So whether it's your credit card or your bank statements for your checking account, just look at that and then make a decision on are you willing to make some of those sacrifices to your point earlier,
Yeah.
because doing the budget worksheet and template, nope, they don't do it. My best clients don't do it, but I get them to have this real conversation and look at their spending just from 3 months prior. Let's rule out the holidays because everybody gets out of control.
Yeah.
But if I can get you to look at what you're doing, you will laugh, and then I'll say, where did we go from here? You didn't need that, but you did it. So are you willing to make I'll say a few small changes for this larger goal that you just told me about at the beginning of this meeting?
Yeah, it's funny, bro, because I tend to vilify the financial industry that talks about cutting out Starbucks. You know, like that's just like the
Yes.
obvious example. But for me, that was one of the decisions that I made. Was just like I don't need Starbucks. I'll make my coffee at home every day, and
And you're
like
still alive. You're still alive. You didn't
right,
die.
that's what I'm saying. But like the point is like cut what's not important to you. Like if you love Starbucks, and to like for me, I drink black coffee. So there's no reason for me to go to Starbucks. Like I don't need a fancy drink. I don't need a bunch of machines and a bunch of syrups and all this other stuff. So like if you're one of those people and you're like, I love the way that they make this drink is so awesome and I can't duplicate it or make it at home. And when I've tried, it's just nowhere near as good. Okay, fine. Okay, so then Starbucks isn't your thing. But I guarantee you there is something. There is something that you're spending money on that when you look at it and you realize how much money you've spent on in the last 6 months or 3 months, that you're going to look at that and go like, I don't need that. I don't need that. You know, I don't need to buy. I don't need to buy a Rockstar from the gas station every day on my way to work. What if I just bought a case of Rockstars on Amazon and kept it in my fridge? Like that might not
Yeah.
save me hundreds of dollars, but it'll save me, 50, $60 because I'm buying it at a wholesale price instead of a retail price or whatever it is. Like there's going to be something is the point. And if you never take the time to, I love what you just said, that kind of, there's power to that analog version of it when you're like physically going through sheets of paper and highlighting things that really solidifies it. So I love that advice, dude. Where do you think most people could stand to make an extra buck? So if we talked a lot about cutting and expenses and things like that, if somebody's kind of at the point where they're like, okay, I've already done some of these things, I've cut some unnecessary expenses, and I'm at the point now where I have an extra 3, 4, $500 a month that I'm able to save, but it just still doesn't feel like progress because I'm only putting away 3, $400 a month, and I would really like to be putting away 2,000, $3,000 a month. Where would you suggest they start in their quest to go earn extra income?
Yeah, it's really taking an assessment of what you like and or love to do. And with the internet today, I'm going to say it's almost like limitless in terms of what you can, decide to do. So one of my good friends loved, believe it or not, like sunglasses. And so I was like, hey, could you be a brand ambassador for an upstart like eyewear company? And I threw it out. And then literally she was like, hey, I found this Instagram, and she was just scrolling the internets
Mm-hmm.
and just found companies. Hey, look, I love wearing shades. And she's a real social person. And she was like, hey, would you all give me some free shades to wear at these like brunch events? And so she did it for like 3 months, didn't get any money up front, but they were sending her free merch. And then sure enough, became a brand ambassador. And so now
Bro,
she gets a check. And I said, but it wasn't anything out of her. She loved looking good and fashion. But I was like, people need you to wear their stuff.
Right. Right.
And I was like, don't come in asking for money because she didn't have a huge following. I
Right.
said, just tell me you're a fan of the product, and would they give you a couple pairs to like wear and see if you get compliments and feedback. That was her decision. Another one, looking at some of my friends who went to school for a certain degree are working in an entirely different career field. Put that degree put that to what can you do with the degree or certificates that you learned? Are there opportunities? And I'll say for maybe part-time or gig type of work where you don't sacrifice your entire life, but I know you can carve out a few hours a week to work on something that you actually are knowledgeable on.
Yeah.
So I'll give my examples. So like I speak, and I wasn't really promoting my speaking business or abilities. Just start asking. And so I hired a virtual assistant. I was like, just look for calls for speakers on anything financial related. And I booked like 5 gigs in about 2 months. Now they
Right.
weren't at my rate, but it was just the act of,
Mhm.
if I say I want to speak more, I need somebody to be marketing me
Yeah.
all the time. And so I was like, if I don't have the cash flow to do it all the time, let me do it enough to where I can get some momentum, and then maybe a paid gig I can reinvest and
Yeah.
continue on with the VA. So there's all these different, just there's I hate when people say think outside the box. For me, there's no box. I'm just out here and there are ideas, but I have to kind of pull and say, okay, I like this one. I know I won't do that. You'd be surprised if you just tell somebody what you're looking for,
Mm.
it will magically show up probably on the internet because all of our devices listen to us, and you
Yeah.
will get an ad. You will get an ad about said thing you just mentioned. And lo and behold, it happens to me all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. It all comes back to what we started the conversation with, which is the mindset,
Yes.
the belief that first of all, it's possible. And then
Yep.
the belief followed, and the second belief being that there is opportunity out there. It's like you have to believe that it's possible for you, and then you have to follow it up with action, and then the action will create opportunity.
Every
It's
time.
just if you keep sitting on your hands and whining and complaining about the situation that you're in
Yep.
without being willing to change anything about your current activity, nothing's going to change magically about your situation. So you got to believe that it's possible, and then you have to take immediate action, doing something besides throwing out your resume on LinkedIn Jobs or Indeed or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Too many people I meet have so many skills that the world would pay for.
Mm-hmm.
They're just unwilling to swallow that pride and ego to say, you know what? I do need an opportunity to supply that extra couple $100 or 1,000. I mean, and a lot of people or organizations want to pay contracts because it's less of a, I don't need to bring you as a full employee because you're
Yeah,
more expensive to my bottom line. But if
yeah,
I can do a contract here and there, and I had to learn that also where I started seeking out contracts because my time is valuable like anybody else's, but I don't want to be an employee.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I need you to pay me for my skill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on a project right now where I'm doing outreach about a program that's local. I was like, let me just do this and watch what happens. I can't guarantee anything because it's a new initiative, but I will do the work. I will tag. And so even after like a couple of weeks of work, organizations were reaching out to this director, and she was like, "Hey, somebody came through that post you did on LinkedIn." I was like, "I know that's what happens.
Yeah,
I'm consistent. Can't make them say yes or no. I can't ink the deal for you. You got to do your part.
right.
My part is I care about this program. I think it's great. It's very local and specific to a cause that's near and dear to me, which is financial literacy for underserved youth and their families. It's an easy pitch for me. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not even, it doesn't feel like a job. It's just I walk in, hey, there's this program. Did you know about it? And they're
Yeah,
like, who are you? I'm just a guy.
yeah, yeah,
And they always laugh, and I leave them the brochure and I walk out. And then I tag, hey, ran into this group today. Shout out to such and such who, took the flyer from me and didn't throw it away. So it's finding out, Jasper, you're good at just talking to complete strangers about
mm-hmm.
stuff you're passionate about. There's people who are passionate about. You mentioned somebody playing video games. Got a client. They're a professional video game player. All right, maybe you should be looking for tournaments so you can show the world you're the best at pick your whatever game is the hotness right now.
Yep,
But I think we have this limited or limiting mindset, which is why we get next to nothing. Versus, I think I got all these ideas and I'm gonna keep shooting these shots, and
yeah,
they're eventually gonna start going in. And they always do. And yeah, it
absolutely.
sucks some days because you're getting nothing. It's silent. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, I think I've heard of you. You're the guy. You're the guy. I'm like, I'm Jasper. I'm a financial planner. You've heard of the Bill Wealth movie. You've heard of this disrupt. There's certain things you're like, I think I saw that. I
Right.
have no clue where they saw it, Travis.
Yeah.
But that's how they call it. I'm working on becoming more omnipresent.
Yeah.
I want to be everywhere, but I'm still here in the Bay, sitting down, having a conversation with you. But somebody thinks I may be doing something live versus like, hey, I need to be everywhere if I'm going to build my brand. Or if I have an expertise, I need the people who will benefit from my expertise to know about me. And
Yeah.
so it doesn't have to be very public. I think we tend to want to like share everything with the world. Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Just stay in your zone, lock in, and then if and when it makes sense to share. So you don't put that expectation on yourself of, oh, I'm posting, it's not happening. Just don't post about it.
Yeah.
When you get success, just post the success and just say, success didn't just come because I snapped my finger.
Right.
Like
Right.
every day, you have to be willing to get up and do the work. And for me, I have found just things that I'm passionate about, which is what gets my energy. My clients get my energy, the organization I want to partner with or collab with. And so I'm very intentional about what I will do. And I also have a list of things I won't do. If it's not in alignment, I'm good.
Yep.
But
Dude, this has been a
Jasper, you'd
great.
be a great fit. No,
What's
I
that?
won't be. No, no. Even when they say you'd be a great fit, nah, I won't.
Mm.
It's not on my
Yep.
list.
No, I love it, dude. It's been a great conversation, Jasper. Let's move into the last segment here. Just some quick random questions, quick random answers. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
What profession other than your own do you think that it would have been fun to master?
The doctor.
If you could sit on a park bench with someone, past or present, and chat for an hour, who would it be?
Mm. Oh, his name is escaping me, but he wrote the book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? He died very early. God, I cannot think of his name. It's a book. It's incredible.
Okay.
It's him. I cannot think of his name, but I would love.
Here, I'll
He
find it for
was.
you. I'll find it for you right now, bro.
Why should
Who? What is it called? Who wrote? Why?
why should white guys have all the fun? He was the first brother to do a leverage buyout of an international. Oh my God, I cannot think of his name is escaping me.
Reginald F. Lewis.
That's it. He died at 51 from a brain and something brain related, but just business. Oh, he was a cold piece.
Pioneering. This is ChatGPT's response. The book is a biography of Reginald Lewis, pioneering African American businessman who built $1 billion empire and
Yep.
became one of the richest black men in America.
Yeah, Beatrice International. He did a leverage buyout. He was cold. Like I ain't taking no. Like he was about that life. But super shrewd business guy. I would love to chop it up, smoke a cigar with him on a park bench.
How do you like to consume information best? Books, audiobooks, blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos, newsletters?
All of the above. I love a good audio because I'm a runner. I love a good audio, or if I'm in the car. I'm old school. I love reading. I love books. If I can get my hands on it, love consuming the reading or the audio.
What is your go-to pump-up song, Jasper?
Boom, there it is.
What is something that you are not very good at?
I have no musical talent. I cannot play an instrument at all, any of them.
As we get everything wrapped up here, bro, where's one place online where people can go connect with you more?
TheBuildWealthMovement.com.
Thebuildwealthmovement.com. Head over there, check out some of the stuff that Jasper's putting out. If you enjoyed this conversation, I know you'll enjoy getting more from him. Buildwealthmovement.com. Jasper, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I know that your time is important and valuable. So thanks for spending some of it here with us today. Everybody else listening, tuning in, remember, money will only solve your money problems, but it's a little bit easier to solve the other problems in your life if you have money in the bank. So let's solve that problem first here on the Travis Makes Money podcast. Catch you next time. Thanks for listening.